Three seasons have come and gone in 2018, and all three so far have been won by Ben Perez. It's not been a cakewalk by any means, and as time has gone on, more and more fast drivers have come to challenge him. Will this finally be the season where someone gets the best of him, or will he make a jaw-dropping 4-in-a-row championships? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round one of the Precision Racing League's American iRacing Tuesday series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Taylor Burris. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Taylor, man, what a great place to kick things off. Watkins Glen provides lots of great racing, so to have the opening round here, to me, just adds to the unpredictability.
Of course it does, and good evening all, and welcome to upstate New York to Watkins Glen International, or the Glen. Located in Watkins Glen, New York, USA, this 3.4 mile or 5.4 kilometer 11-turn track was opened in 1956, home to the famous sailing 6 hours at the Glen and a major staple to the sports car racing. It is just a wonderful track to watch sports car racing, as well as many other forms of motorsports, such as open wheel and NASCAR racing. As a matter of fact, the famous 6 hours of the Glen was started in 1968, where Jackie Ickx in a Ford GT40 won this event. With a wide array of elevation changes, Watkins Glen is a beautiful and difficult track to master. Now let's take you on board for a GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Taylor Burris and the GSRC 4GT, so let's do a lap around Watkins Glen. Down into the 90, this is a great place to pass, but with the downhill braking, you've really got to be careful not to overshoot it. While you've got a lot of paved runoff, if you kill your speed on the exit, you're going to pay for it by the time you hit the backstretch. Even though the S's are pretty much a single file affair, it's still easily flat out, so the drivers behind will be catching a huge draft on you all the way up the hill. Once you hit the backstretch, they're likely going to be closing in quickly, and if they've timed it right, you could be helpless. The real danger isn't just in losing a spot, it's the fact that the next time you brake, it's for the inner loop. This chicane is notorious for wreaking havoc when cars go side by side. It's best if you sort it out by the time you're navigating through here. That then throws you directly into the carousel. This long banked bend requires quite a bit of patience so that you don't understeer your way into the Armco. Then, before you know it, you've got to switch sides to set up for the chute. When it comes to corners you don't want to overcook, this one ranks pretty high up there. There's no place to save it on the outside except for just plowing into the tires. As we come to the lowest part of the course, you'll be braking for the toe of the boot. You might see some passes here if someone catches a good run on their opponent. But as you can see, the best way through is to give yourself a nice late apex and confidently apply the power. This steep uphill climb is going to punish anyone who hesitates by sucking up all of their speed. Because of that, this run to the heel of the boot often sees pass attempts. Now, they don't always go off, but you've got to have your head on a swivel depending on who's behind you. After that, you hit what I consider the toughest corner of the track, turn 9. It's got a crested turn-in, it's off camber, and the barriers on the exit are very, very close. No matter which way you lose it, it's likely you'll be catching damage. Then, into the penultimate turn, drivers will need a big lift and a fair amount of accuracy to carry speed through it. That takes us to the final corner, where it's almost like a street course. Understeer, and you'll be digging your car out of the tires. But hopefully, if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Watkins Glen. They see a lap around in the GSRC 4GT, some of the elevation change that you heard Taylor talking about in that lap. Now, this race itself is brought to you by SIMMSA. The Simulated MotorSports Association is a sim racing platform created by experienced racers. Established in 2015, the association is bringing together organizations and communities to further promote sim racing globally. Concentrating on all sims worldwide, they offer a focused opportunity for sim racers to compete with each other. They also provide consultancy services to this growing eSports world. SIMMSA offers solutions for racing simulator requirements, custom-built simulator parts, complete customization, and upgrading of existing simulators as well. You can find that at SIMMSA.net. Big thanks to them for coming on board to sponsor the series. Now, as we let qualifying work its way through, still got about 10 minutes left in this, so that could still change. Let's take a look at how the championship last season wound up. Boy, you talk about tight. You know, I mentioned in the intro about how drivers made Ben work for some of these championships. Look at that. Tied for the win in the end between Perez and Eisler. It was on a count back. that Perez came away with things. And don't forget Daniel Pinto there, only 8 points out at the end of the championship. His rookie season, you have to imagine he's got something up his sleeve for this one. Landini and Aaron Thacker rounded out your top 5 in the driver championship, well out of the ability to win it by the end, but still with respectable finishes. Now, let's jump on over to the teams championship and how that wound up. Let's go to Taylor.
I tell you what, SDS Racing Onyx put on a stellar performance throughout the championship season, just dominating as they took home the points team championship. Team TBR, though, on the other hand, was in a very good position, finishing out in second place. HJ Motorsports, those drivers of Thacker with their consistency, they came home with a strong finish as well, finishing out third with those 2 Ford GTs. The Ferrari Apex button box team set up a very good job for the team 2 Ferraris that they had of Michael Overbay. And then rounding out your top 5 in this was the Sailors Racing team, setting a job throughout the season. I tell you what, Joe, this last season was just a stellar performance. But so why don't we go over some of the race details that we have for tonight's race?
Absolutely. If you are just joining us for the first time here on the American iRacing Tuesday series, first of all, welcome. Second of all, you're in for a treat because they put on a good show in these GTE cars. We are round 1 out of 10, so they don't do a full season of 12 races. They got a little bit of break in between for the drivers to relax. And you can see the 3 cars that they use are all the GTEs, the Porsche, Ferrari, and the Ford GT that you can use here on iRacing. The race is not too long, actually, 45 minutes, but they still have 1 pit stop because they have limited the fuel tanks that these cars can hold compared to what they can in real life. However, the setups are open, which means they can tweak the cars to their liking as they please. The incident cap, though, at 30 means that if they have enough off-tracks contact with the walls or other cars, they will find themselves disqualified on the spot as soon as they reach those 30 incident points, and they will not be able to complete the race. They also have no free repairs in this series. It's a break it, you break it, you bought it system for them. Thankfully, they do have that scheduled pit stop, so you could get in if the incident happens at the right time to try and take a few repairs, but it'll still cost you a little bit in your pit stall and could cost you in speed out on track since the car won't be perfect when you get back, most likely. We watch Carl Modoff, one of the drivers that we believe is new here this season. We didn't see him in the previous ones that we've covered here on the Global Sim Racing Channel, and he's got himself up into 3rd. Taylor, I get a feeling this is one of those drivers we'll need to watch out for. We're seeing a few names come in and proving to be already hot shoes.
Yes, they are. This is just a stellar performance by what Modoff is able to do. And also, of course, one of our rookie drivers from last season, William Whalen, already putting on a stellar performance with qualifying and in practice. But I'm going to also keep my eye on this other driver, number 81, Ricardo Gama, just putting on a really good job in qualifying and in practice, was consistent for the most of the race. But speaking of the race, we need to look at some of the key points for today's race, keys to victory if you look at it. One of the key things was last season we had major incidents going through the boot here at Watkins Glen. So drivers need to keep their eyes open and focus and watch out for that congestion in the boost to prevent issues like we saw last season. Also, due to the fact of the long straightaways that we have here at Watkins Glen, drivers need to take care of their brakes, not to be using them too much here on the track. Otherwise, it can mess up with their tires to where they might have to make that extra pit stop to add tires for their stop. And then finally, the inner loop. This section of the track is a very key point when it comes to having the perfect lap here at Watkins Glen. If you're able to hit your marks through the inner loop, you are able to gain a lot of time on your competition or pull away. And then also, though, one small mistake can cost you major time to lose on your competition. So drivers are going to have to be careful, and I'm looking forward to this race, Joe.
So there's also something to watch out for in the points, something to keep in mind that does add up, considering how close things finished last season with that tie. There is a bonus point for getting pole in this series. So right now, William Whalen sits on that by about 2/10. Unless Eisler can improve, it looks like Whalen might take that away. Fastest lap of the race also gives you another bonus point, and you get 1 bonus point for 3 incidents or less. throughout the race. We won't be able to know that until the race is over, though. See who earned that. Just 4 minutes left here to go in qualifying as we ride on board with John Guillory. They're in 10th position. See some of our top runners. Ben Perez, our 3-time champion, he's actually coming around to complete his lap right now. He sits down in 4th. Not looking terribly fast here in qualifying, but let's see if that Bushfink Porsche can maybe bump itself up, Taylor.
Yes, indeed. And I'm also looking on Christian Eisler. He's under some new colors this season and a new manufacturer, driving that beautiful Team Bushfink Ferrari, as a matter of fact, as he is finishing up his lap coming out of the boot and going out.
And on screen, we saw Ben Perez just take 2nd place. We've now switched to Eisler. Sorry about that, but Ben bumping himself up to the front row. That does demote Eisler down into 3rd. Let's see if the Ferrari has any response. And he's going to abandon this lap. I think he'll have just enough time for one more lap. The question is he going to try it? Yeah, he's going to try and come out. There's Rob Crouch a little bit farther down in this field. Currently sitting in 23rd. That last lap, not his best one. He's only gotten 3 in, and 2 of them have only been counted due to off tracks causing your lap to be deleted. So still, the bonus point for pole is resting in the hands of William Whalen. And Ben Perez is trying to close in. Boy, I tell you what, Perez and Eisler, incredibly close in times. There is about 5/100ths of a second between them.
Let's take a look at Mr. Consistency from last season, Aaron Thacker. He's currently P11. He's getting ready to come around as he comes out of the heel of the boot, coming through the final 2 corners here at Watkins Glen, through the turn 11, or turn 12, I should say, down the front straight. Let's see what his time is. I've been really impressed with what Aaron was able to do in that Ford. Usually the Ford is not really considered a strong suit car against the Ferrari and Porsche. Not really able to improve on his last qualifying attempt, but he's going to, looks like, maybe go try again as we have a few minutes left.
Yeah, he was about 3/10 off. He's going to get 2 more laps in, including this one. So if he wants to back off here, he could try and get himself a good launch on that last lap. So we watch the Texan climb up the S's. We switch over to Gama, who still sits in 6th. That last lap did not count for him, and he might get 2 more in. He's got about 10 seconds to spare. Let's go over to Perez because he's just about to finish. Oh, did he touch the wall there? That was awful close coming out of the final corner. The 42.4 is what he's sitting on, and the last lap did not count. In fact, I think he might have had a little bit of touch. If not, he must have gone off track somewhere. Oh, Eisler's going to finish his now. Let's see what he can do. Oh, that is a bad lap. He did back off on that one. So again, he's going to get this last try. This is it for Eisler. No more chances. So if he botches this lap, he is going to have to settle for 3rd. At best, he could still be jumped by some of our other drivers. Right on board with Eisler. He's got Perez a little bit ahead of him, maybe about 30 seconds ahead. So we will get time to watch to see which of them can do what. And actually, William Whalen's coming around right now in his fluorescent yellow Porsche. So let's jump up to our pole sitter, see if he improves and continues to stretch the goalpost away from these two. We saw some great speed from him last season, but we did not see great results most of the time. And it looks like he does not improve his lap time. In fact, that one doesn't count, so he's going to get to go around one more time.
Yeah, William Whalen had a really, pretty much was just dominant when it came to qualifying. The only good result he had was our season finale at VIR last season, where he finished on the podium. But let's hopefully this season, you know, rookie blues are gone. He is now coming in here as a full season competitor, and hopefully we'll have a good season and put up a fight against Perez, Eisler, and Pinto.
All right, looks like Perez is absolutely wheeling this car as he comes around the final corner, and it's not faster. That's it for Perez. Second is the best he can do. Let's jump back to the 002, Christian Eisler. He's been trying to win this championship for so long. Can he start it out by being ahead of Perez on the grid? And no, he also does not improve. So who's left after this? Looks like we're waiting on Daniel Pinto to come around. He's way down compared to what we saw in his pace last season. He sits in 7th for the grid. Some of these drivers ahead of him are newcomers, Modov, Derlicka, and Gama. We all did not see last season, so he would be in 4th without them. This may be just a case of he's still got the pace. He's just got more people to compete with now. As they come down to the penultimate corner, here goes the Sailors driver. Let's see what the Iberians got for him. Coming around the final corner, can he get up to the front 2 rows? Maybe, potentially. It's very tight between our top qualifiers. And no, Daniel Pinto also stays put in 7th. Still, oh, well, we got Perez still out here, but I don't think this lap should count because he crossed the line. Yeah, he's abandoning the lap, so Perez is not going to take this one. And that's going to be everybody. So with that, let's go through our starting grid here for round 1 of the PRL American iRacing Tuesday Series, brought to you by SIMMSA. On the pole, William Whalen gets that bonus point. Ben Perez will be starting next to him in 2nd place. Behind them in row 2, it'll be Christian Eisler in 3rd with Karl Modov starting off in 4th. Good job for the rookie there, Jesper Derlicka, coming over from the Lotus 49 cars here to start 5th in these GTE machinery. Ricardo Gama will be next to him in 6th place. Row 4 has Daniel Pinto. He's got some work to do this race, starting in 7th. Francisco Montini will be P8. Mark McDonald will be P9 at the drop of the green, and top 10 is rounded out by John Guillory.
Starting in the 11th position is Mr. Consistency himself in the 816 Ford GT, Aaron Thacker, followed by Nick Hardwood in 12th position. Alex Albert in another Ford GT will be starting 13th, followed by Joseph Janowski in 14th in his number 26 Ferrari. Alexander Cofford is going to be starting 15th, followed by Pete Mabroten in the Fluffy Kitty Ninjas Porsche, starting in 16th position. Michael Derby starting 17th. Jean Carnegie starting 18th. 19th is Cristobal Valenzuela, followed by Maxi Sorelli in 20th.
21st is going to be James LeBlanc. Justin Hall follows him in 22nd. Rob Crouch starts in P23. Then Danny Duchesne has given up his infamous Ford GT. He'll be starting in 24th. Karsten Quint starts P25. Then it's Sean Kinning in 26. Remy Provencher, in 27th, with Gary Schilling in 28th. Federico Montini joins what we believe is his brother, but we'll have to get confirmation on that. He'll start 29th. Takeshi Kita comes back once again, having trouble in qualifying, didn't put a lap in. He'll start 30th. Lucio Vargas, 31st. And Hugo Galaz rounds out the field in 32nd. Pretty full field here today, so I anticipate a pretty good race, Taylor.
Yes, indeed. 32 cars. This field is stacked with new blood, new competition, and returning favorites. Joe, this is just going to, I think, going to be the best season of the PRL all year long.
We wait for our clock to tick down for all the cars to grid. We're just waiting on Pinto, Derlicka, Perez, and Crouch for the moment. Last few start working their way out onto the starting front stretch. When the last one comes in, we will start our full pace lap. Rolling start here in this GTE series as the roof pace car now pulls away, and William Whalen will be the first to follow him down to the 90, which is honestly where I expect most of the overtakes to happen here today, Taylor. But where are some of the other spots that you think are likely that passes could be made?
Well, of course, there's going to be that back straightaway going down into the inner loop. We might see some drivers take a look to the inside or outside and making passes there. Another spot is probably going to be using momentum on the outer loop as to try to get momentum built up before heading down into the chute and into the boot. So that's going to be some of the main passing points. Maybe a little bit of passes might happen in the heel, But for the most part, the 90 is going to be where most of the passes and most of the mistakes might happen in tonight's race.
Yeah, so easy to outbrake yourself into that steep downhill. And what is a relatively sharp corner. See them now coming to the exit of the S's, which is another place that I kind of worry about anytime we come here. We've seen in the past, Taylor, that the top of the S's, with the way that the track is just basically flanked by the Armco right at the edge of it, it can become a mess. It can become a clogged track if someone wrecks up at the front.
It can be, and that's what's very dangerous about that part of the track, the S's. There's no runoff, there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide if there is an incident that happens in any part of the S's. So drivers are going to have to be alert, have to be careful with the throttle and brakes through that section in order to get through there unscathed.
Now down into the boot section that Taylor was talking about. If you've ever watched the Cup cars here, well, this is the section that they don't run. Although I have heard there has been talk about them maybe adding this onto their race at Watkins Glen. That would be interesting to see. Plunging steeply downhill out of the chute. You can see just how narrow most of this track is. Very old school in feel, with the barriers right alongside you for pretty much the entire lap. They come to the toe of the boot, and then you turn back around, head right back uphill, Taylor.
Yes, you do, and right towards the heel, as you're coming, the pace car is taking them down towards the heel. This is a really good place to make the pass. You got to be careful, though, when you're coming up through out of the heel into that small little corner. It's very easy to lose the car through there. The car gets very loose as you're going uphill, so drivers are going to have to be careful with their throttle input. Otherwise, it's either going to be straight into the Armco or straight into another car.
Out of the heel of the boot, and then I don't know about you, Taylor. I absolutely loathe this corner. Turn 9. My goodness. This thing is frustrating.
Yeah, that was the corner we were just talking about. It's just so difficult to master the turn 9, because you think you're safe, and then all of a sudden the car just gets real loose or real light out of 9, and you just can't really seem to control the car. But we're now going through turn 10, the pace car is, and Joe, it's about time to go racing.
All right, 45 minutes here for round 1 and the American iRacing Tuesday Series. Our 3-time champion starts on the front row, but can William Whalen take his first win in the series? Starting from pole, green flag is out as Whalen gets a great jump off the line over Ben Perez. Already we got some action happening between Eisler and Modoff and Derlicka into turn 1, and as they squeeze together and accordion down, I'm seeing pretty clean through that first corner. I don't see any incidents yet. A little bit of an off, but nobody turned around. This is great for the field up at the top of the S's. Whalen leading the way. Perez had a good draft, but he lifted through the S's. Interesting here.
Probably didn't want to get too much on the back bumper, because this is a dangerous spot to get on the brakes if you're not paying attention to the drivers. But still, Perez is looking as they go through the outer loop.
Checking to see if everybody's going to get through the inner loop fine, and amazingly they did. There was a bit of side-by-side, but now as our leaders hit the chute and come on down the hill, Whalen has himself a lot safer from Ben Perez. I also kind of wonder, we do have a pit stop. Is this Perez already starting to think fuel? I don't have to attack. I just got to sit behind and ride his draft.
Probably, he might be thinking, save a little fuels. That way there's not a whole lot of fuel to put back into the car. But right now we got a battle for P3. Christian Eisler under attack from Derlicka. Looks to the inside. Derlicka makes the pass out of the heel of the boot and up to turn 9. And now Modoff is now looking on Eisler.
Textbook maneuver there for Derlicka, showing that he is very fast in this modern machinery. Eisler having a bit of a tough time here. He started in 3rd, he's now down to 4th, and already under threat from Carl behind him. There you see the green and white Porsche trying to size him up. The Ferrari could lose another down into the 90. Let's see if he tries to outbrake him. He sticks his nose out. He's a little far back. No, he's going to slot back in the line for now.
Here comes the 2 Sailor drivers of Gamma and Pinto. They're working their way together up through the field. They've been staying consistent with 6th and 7th. They got their eyes, though, set on Modoff.
I remember we talked about Pinto's got a little bit of work to do. Well, right now still hasn't been able to do anything on his teammate. However, Looks like Mark McDonald's behind Pinto, starting to gain ground. He runs out of room before the backstretch ends, so McDonald going to stay in 8th for the moment. So what, the HJ Motorsports Ford of Albert behind them, and a nice little battle with Francisco Montini, who's right on board with Albert. Montini, the car behind, is staying ever closer, only 2/10 back, and it looks like Montini slipped a little wide through the toe of the boot. This is going to get an opportunity to the HJ teammate, Aaron Thacker, as he runs him up the hill, Taylor.
Yes, as they head down towards the heel of the boot, Aaron looks to the inside, not close enough, but it looks like now Harwood's coming into the picture now, so we have 3 cars trying to get inside the top 10, up into turn 9. Montini holds a nice line through there. He's able to pull away, though, from Thacker.
Just a train of cars at this point being led by Albert. If anything, you could almost say the cars ahead of them, as really our leaders have not broken away too much. The biggest gap we've got is between 2nd and 3rd, and that's only 1 second. Everything behind them is all within 1 second of one another.
A real tight battle between Perez and Whalen as they go up through the S's, watching those two. The last lap, Perez was faster than Whalen, so we'll have to keep an eye on this battle for the lead at the moment. But Dralica is working his way through, still has Eisler behind him, and Modoff rounding out your top 5.
As we look at our leaders, Perez has a run, but once again he lifts. Perez proving why he is a 3-time champion. Could easily take the lead, but is electing not to, just holding out to see what the race brings him, with 40 minutes still left to go. Right on board with Whalen, looking back. Again, Whalen has shown pace. What we saw as he entered in towards the end of last season, but just either through misfortune that really was not his fault or his own mistakes, he was not able to show it with results.
And that was unfortunate. I've always liked these guys. Whalen, he was really fast, really consistent, also a new face to the series, but just could not close the deal.
Provencher, down in the toe of the boot,
Yep.
has had an issue. And did he have help? Nope, he did not. Let's take a look at the replay. You're going to see coming around the chute here. He looks fine. He's being chased by the car of Justin Hall, and then just simply comes in a little too hot, understeers, and finds the tires pretty hard.
Yeah, he's taking it to the pit road right now, so unfortunate for the rookie here tonight.
Oh, wow. Look at our leaders, though. Perez is so much closer this time. Now, this might seem better for Perez, but he actually won't get as much of a run up the hill with him being so much closer. He still sticks his nose in a little bit. Whalen gives him the space, and Perez signals once again that he is not interested in an overtake quite yet.
I know Perez is trying to play a smart race, but he's got to be careful because this is bringing in Dralica with these two kind of just battling and not really pushing the issue. So bring in Jesper Dralica into the picture now.
We might want to get a replay of Aaron Thacker and Nick Harwood just moments ago through the inner loop, side by side through there, and Thacker makes the pass. Or no, he makes the defense, I should say. Let's watch the replay here. Harwood got a run. You're going to see coming up the backstretch. We talked about this, the draft having a big factor around here, especially if you get that run. Looks to the inside. Thacker says it's not going to be that easy. Holds him off, and somehow comes out with his position still intact. And as soon as I say that, I come back live, and it looks like Thacker has been overtaken and is already under threat from Guillory. This is for 12th position. Look at that. Oh, they come together, and Guillory finds the Armco. Gets it going once again. Now let's take a glance at that replay now. I mean, Guillory was around the outside. Let's take a look and see. I don't know, who would you put that on? Because it looked like Guillory didn't fully track out.
Yeah, he tracked up a little bit, but just not enough room between the two of Guillory and Thacker. And then, of course, Kodoff behind him was right on the back bumper of Thacker, causing more issues. So just a racing incident in my opinion, but that was still some close racing. Poor Guillory has a little wing damage.
We watch Guillory continue on, already under attack from the car behind him. This is going to be for 18th position, Federico Montini. Going to have a little bit better pace with the damage on the front of that Porsche. I think this is going to make this look easy. Let's see how Guillory is in the braking. Not brave enough. So give that spot now to Montini. Oh, maybe he overshoots it. Guillory tries to come back around the outside of the carousel. Can he find the grip? That's the question. You can sometimes carry your momentum. I think he's got it back. Wow.
Very nice move by Guillory. I don't think that car might be damaged, but he is fired up, ready to go back at it again. Up through the heel of the boot. Actually, I should say the toe of the boot.
So we watch them battle. It's been very close. So that's brought Rob Couch into the mix. Maxi Sorella as well, getting watch behind them. I gotta think it's a matter of time before Montini is just able to make this move just because of that damage on the front, Taylor.
Yes, most likely that will happen momentarily, especially on these longer straightaways. But I'm looking at the top 5 right now, up towards the front. I would say that each car is probably separated by a car length or less for the most part as they go down into the 90. I gotta say, this has been just spectacular racing all across the field tonight here.
Yeah, Perez just teasing us by having the pace, the apparent pace, to overtake Whalen, but never really acting like he wants to take it. He's got another run here onto the backstretch, and one more time he lifts before he gets to the braking zone. Now, Derlicka is holding on to them, but he seems to lose a little bit when it's a twisty section. It seems to gain it all back in the straights.
Yeah, the Fords are really strong on that straight line speed, but when it comes to the twisty bit of the track, this is where the Porsches shine, which is why a lot of the teams are choosing that car, Porsche, because it's just such an easy car to drive when it comes to these twisty bits of the track.
Oh, and the season has started off on an even worse note for Daniel Pinto. He had a self-made incident into the inner loop. There was nobody pressuring him. You can see he's got back into 14th, but he was in 7th before. Let's take a look at the replay. He got lucky. He didn't hit anything, Taylor, but he was well off the circuit.
As we look at the replay,
we need to back up a little bit farther here. Yeah, this will. He's coming off the 90. This is out of the inner loop.
Here we go.
Now we found it. Yeah,
just misses
right
his
there.
braking point.
Yep.
Misses the curb because usually that curb helps the car turn through the inner loop, and he just misses it. Goes through the kitty litter.
So we come back live. He's still in 14th and working on Alexander Coffard at the moment. He's got a long way to go in this race, even longer than he did before. Coffard racing for the HJ Motorsports team, which just continues to seem to grow in this series as we see more and more of that yellow and blue scheme show up on these cars.
Yeah, they're pretty much all over the place. Everywhere I look, every time I'm searching through the field, I see that blue and yellow HJ team. They just keep coming back year after season, stronger than ever.
Back in 21st position, Maxi Sorella side by side right now, actually, with Justin Hall. They try and stick it out through the inner loop, and Hall's going to come out the best of the two.
That was a power move by Justin Hall, just holding his line to the best of his ability to get by Max, and just excellent job as they go into the boot.
Takes some nerves of steel to pull off those moves, praying that your competitor knows how to not run into you into that very narrow chicane. So down to the bottom of the hill they go, and looks like Maxi's going to have to set himself up a little bit later. He's still holding on to the back, but he's going to need a nice run, which he does not get coming up the hill. Just a little bit up the road, Valenzuela, Montini. This is two familiar names, except Federico is a bit new to the series. His relative, the other Montini, we think they're related, has been racing here for a while.
Yeah, Cristobal has been very consistent here tonight, keeping his car clean. looks like if he just keeps it clean enough, he might be able to get a nice top 15 finish here tonight. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
On the front stretch, Montini not looking close enough at all for an attack on that Porsche into the 90. If he could set himself up for a good run off the corner, that could be just what the doctor ordered, or a mistake from Valenzuela. That'll help too. And look at that, just like that, in a few hundred feet, he is tucked under that gearbox.
They go up to the S's. You can get a little bit of a draft through that part to help build your momentum as you go down the back straightaway towards the interloop. Let's see what happens. He's going to look. Nope, just stay right behind. Now look to the inside here at the interloop. Hard onto the brake. Ooh. That was close.
That was tight. Oh my goodness. Great job by both drivers.
Another inch or two and Cristobal would have been sent into the Armco probably. That was really close.
I agree. I almost wonder if Montini realized this isn't going to work and is just pounding on the brakes to try and keep out of that car. Whatever the case, they both get away with it for now, and lesson learned for Montini. 31 minutes left to go. We're starting to get into the pit window here. They can usually go about 2/3 through this race on a tank in this series, Taylor. So wonder if we're going to see some drivers maybe try to leapfrog competitors.
Maybe those that are outside the top 10 might try that opportunity, but as far as those inside the top 10 or our leaders, they probably will make their normal scheduled pit stop. So we'll have to wait and see, though, as they come down to complete another lap.
I believe we're going to jump up a little bit here to 13th. This is Cawford still working with Pinto. I would have thought that Pinto, without having gained any damage, would have maybe had an easier time climbing forward, but the 969 has now been stuck behind this Ford GT for quite a while. Excuse me, the Ferrari.
Yeah, Cawford has been having a really good line. Oops, you get off a little bit offline here before they head to the S's out of the 90. But Pinto, just for some reason, can't seem to get that good run he needs to make the pass. Let's see what happens. Let's follow them as they come out of the S's down the back straightaway. Not close enough, but here's the time to utilize the draft. They go down the back straightaway towards the inner loop. He's just not close enough. I'm wondering if there's something done to the undertrack. Oh, here we go. Oh, contact.
Oh, wow. Pinto is going to want to forget this one for sure. And as that was happening, we should report that Cristobal Valenzuela had an incident, and that was very similar, actually. This was into the S's, though, so at a very high speed. Montini and Valenzuela came together maybe about 50 seconds ago. Yeah, here you're going to see it. Look at this. Gets a great run there. Montini does in the Porsche. Gets up alongside him. And I wonder if this is a bit of net code, though, as I was watching from my screen. Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, you could see they did not touch. So really, poor Valenzuela just caught the bad end of the stick. So where does this puts Valenzuela in 22nd. What about Pinto? How far did he fall? Oh, did he take a tow?
He did. Not the way you want to start the season off right now. Pinto, our third place champion in last season, not having the season he wants to start off with.
So let's jump back to the leaders as Perez continues to hound Whalen. And Whalen's actually going defensive now, interestingly.
Yeah, he is.
I wouldn't feel need for that the way that Perez has been driving.
Probably just making sure, double checking, to make sure, letting Pinto know that, hey, I'm not willing to give up this position right away, but I think Ben Perez, whenever he's ready, he will make that pass.
Trying to double check to see if we have drop races in the series. If we do not have drop races, this is bad news for Pinto. He does, well, he's just eating it up early. So right on board with Perez, watching the leader climb up the hill ahead of him. That Porsche, just like in real life here in sim racing, finds great grip off the corner, extra grunt with all that weight towards the rear of the car. Of course, they are followed very closely, even though we can't see it from this nose cam, by Jesper Derlicka, who has been holding on very closely to see if anything will happen with these two, to give them a whiff at the lead.
See, this is why I love sports car racing right now. There's certain parts of the track where each of these cars succeeds well in, and then there's certain parts where a certain weakness shows. We see that here. Last season we just saw Porsche dominance, but I think this year we might see a little bit more of the Fords and Ferraris come into play here.
And let's go to Maxi Sorella, some car contact between himself and Alexander Cofford moments ago. This was coming out of the heel of the boot just about 40 seconds ago. Let's take a look at the replay. Cofford really was not having any of this. And this was a little bit farther back. This was in the heel of the boot. As we look at them, let's see, coming onto the front stretch there. So we might not have this replay, unfortunately. It looks like we'll have to come back live. In the meantime, we can report two things. There is one drop week, and Pinto has now used it because he is DNF'd from this race and left the server. Man, big development already in race 1, Taylor.
It is, as we got a battle right now for P4 between Karl Modhoff and Christian Eisler. Modhoff just been creeping up lap after lap onto Eisler. Let's see if he looks to the inside as we go through the heel of the boot up towards turn 9. Nope, not close enough, but still just an excellent battle between these two.
Yep, so far Eisler holding him off. We have nicknamed him the Iceman, and right now proving it by withstanding the pressure of Karl Modhoff. That green and white Porsche is just sticking to the rear bumper of the 002 as we look out the splitter there. I guess this is the 002 cam. But they work their way up the hill. Now 25 minutes left in the race. And I think we've seen at least one scheduled stop. I'm looking down and seeing Aaron Thacker with an 11-second stop. This is within the pit window.
He was outside the top 10, so this is going to be probably that time where he decided to make that move. But right now we got a battle towards the back of the field a little bit between Kenning, Vargas, Kita, Quint, and Derby. Pretty much 4 cars under a blanket right now. Actually, Derby's a couple of laps down. Apologies on that. So he's working his way back up to the field.
So one thing I want to point out as let's stay on this battle is I think this is a smart move by Thacker. He came out into completely clear air. He's not going to catch any cars for a while. It's a little bit of an attempt from Vargas on Kenning. Just doesn't quite go off. But I'm thinking Aaron Thacker, whoever he was racing at the time, might want to be paying attention and might want to come in.
Yeah, this is the time for once you see a driver who you've been racing with for the majority of the race goes ahead and pits early, you know, hey, I need to start thinking about coming into pit road because he's got fresh tires, he's got a load of fuel, so that helps balance the car out a little bit, gets to certain parts of the track a little bit easier. And yeah, this is the time for where he needs to come in and get those taken care of so that way he can possibly still be ahead or at least try and hold off Thacker.
Look at this battle. Don't forget, that's Takeshi Kita in there running in 23rd. Remember, he started in 30th position. He loves to do this, just climb his way through the order from the back of the field. And he's trying to see if he can get something on his teammate Vargas, but so far no dice.
I like to call him Mr. Where Did He Come From, because every time I turn around, as soon as we get towards the end of the race, he's always up inside the top 15. It's like, where did he come from?
He does it pretty quietly, too, typically. We just don't see him make his progress.
Ooh, he almost got into the back of his teammate, something you do not want to do when coming down to the pit road as both of them come down. Yep.
Looks like team orders on pitting as they hit their stalls. Now, where is Thacker? He's going to jump them easily. And actually, I thought I saw one of the cars backing up in their stall. May have missed it.
It looked like Vargas missed his pit box.
Well, in the meantime, Kita is in and out. He's going to return in 26th position.
Yep, he's going to have to do a little bit of battling with his other teammate, Valenzuela. Valenzuela still was a little bit far back behind, but still got that momentum but it looks like Kita will pull away from him.
Remember, Valenzuela probably dealing with a little bit of damage. Looks like he's been able to get most of it fixed during his stop. He was in there about 3 seconds longer than most other drivers. Up in 17th, Rob Crouch now has Alexander Cofford working on him. Remember, we saw Alexander make an aggressive elbows out move through the heel of the boot. Let's see what he can do with this Ferrari. And through the penultimate corner into the final turn. Can he get a run down the front stretch? Rob Crouch, no, he's not going to want to get a run because looks like Cofford going to take his pit stop. See Crouch continued on. So where is Thacker? I think Crouch or Cofford might be in a bit of a battle with Thacker. Thacker's coming out of the final corner now. Cofford's in his stall. I think Thacker's going to get him though. Cofford takes off just as Thacker goes by. But Cofford should be out ahead of Takeshi Kita. Haven't missed anything with our leaders. I know we haven't checked in on them in a while, but Perez just continues to wait behind Whalen, and now Derlicka is doing a little bit of the same. I think he's been observing and taking notes there, Taylor, because it looks like he too is just maybe trying to save fuel at this point.
Yeah, that's what the top five has pretty much been doing, just running their race, running against the track, not really pushing each other right now. They know it's still a lot of time left on the clock for them to where they know if, you know, drivers make their pit stops, they can either leapfrog them if they pit a little early, but I think right now it's just a little bit of who's going to blink first at the moment.
Highest pitter is still Aaron Thacker at the moment. Still on the lead lap, we should point out. He's actually caught up to Gary Schilling now. You see him chasing the green and black Ferrari. Schilling just a little bit off the apex. And Aaron knows it. Looks to the inside. Wow, look at that. Decisive stuff, and even takes a little curb for good measure. Not always the best thing to do in these Fords. So move Aaron Thacker now up to 22nd. Maybe about 5 minutes left before we expect everybody has to come in for their one stop with the limited fuel, meaning they cannot go to the end. Let's take a look at our podium for the moment. Haven't been giving us a very exciting race so far, but this strikes me, Taylor, is maybe the calm before the storm. I think these last 5 laps are going to be something special.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see what happens now as they go through the final few corners here as they get out of the boot into turn 10 and 11 and 12. Let's see who's going to duck into pit road this time. I don't think nobody will this lap, but let's see. Nope, none of our top 3 are going to blink. No, not our top 5. Gamma is also going to stay out along with Montini. So right now our top 10 is going to be still staying out.
Oh, we need to go to 10th now. Janowski gets turned around in contact with Nick Harwood. Let's see. I think
Janowski
the Ferrari.
Just
yeah. Interesting. Doesn't hit the curb or anything.
Poor Harwood. Nick Harwood had nowhere to go.
Yeah, that's such a fast corner. There's so little time to react, and you're on a trajectory, and well, it's hard to change that. This bumps Janowski down to 18th. Let's watch one more time from on board to see exactly what Harwood experienced in the cockpit.
Yeah, unlike the newer configuration that we have currently with Watkins Glen, where there's a bit of a runoff where drivers can go out, here it's just grass accumulator where anything can happen for the drivers. So unfortunate, nowhere to go for Nick Harwood. He was having such a good run battling with Janowski all race long.
I'm going to get out my cane and say it's grass out there as it should be. Just not a fan of the paved runoff of the new tracks. But here on iRacing for now, we still have a very challenging Watkins Glen as we jump up to our leader, William Whalen. Coming down now. We think he should be able to continue this lap, maybe 2 more laps that these guys can get in before they really need to come in because it's getting thin in the fuel tank. They have not been able to stretch too far away from Christian Eisler, we should point out. Eisler's still being hounded by Modoff, but it's about 2 seconds, so it's safe, Taylor, but if these 3 start battling, it's going to be a 5-car fight very quickly.
Oh yes, most definitely. So we have a battle for P12 between Gloria and also Carney as they're battling through. John has been really consistent right now holding on to P12. John, though, as they go down towards 90.
Not going to have a chance there. Looking for the exit maybe, and actually I'd say he's got decent momentum. Carini might have a little bit of a space, but as the slipstream helps him forward, let's see what Guillory does. The speed climbs up to 150 miles an hour, 160 miles an hour, but Frederick Montini gets a double draft, and he's going to be the one to take advantage, so move Montini instead up to 13th instead of Guillory to 12th.
Yeah, with that little bit of wing damage, that just messes up Guillory's straight line speed. And then, of course, with the draft from that Montini was able to get from Guillory, that just moved Montini up right into P13, having his eyes set on Carney.
He's going to give it a go down into the toe of the boot, though. Just not quite close enough. Took a peek, but we'll have to wait for another chance, potentially. Our leaders are coming up to the pit lane, but are they coming in is the question. The answer is no. They keep going. Except for Derlicka. Derlicka is in.
So 2 out of our 5 drivers have decided to come to pit road now.
Gama is in. McDonald is in. Alex Albert. Haven't really talked a whole lot about Albert so far. I saw him for a little bit. Looking pretty good in 9th. Right now, Aaron Thacker is still our top pitter, but that is about to change, I'm pretty certain. Eisler, Derlicka, Gama all hit their stalls. First one out, going to be Derlicka. Eisler follows. No change of position between those 3 as Gama comes out behind those 2.
Pete Mabroten now in a battle with Derlicka all over the back bumper as they come off the S's. Mabroten has that momentum and that speed. Derlicka, though, has the tires in the fuel. Let's see if they go down into the inner loop.
And Mabroten has yet to pit, we should point out. So
yes,
this, even though this is a battle for position on track, strategy-wise, Mabroten probably shouldn't be messing too much with Derlicka. If anything, I'd say Mabroten maybe wants to just cling to the draft here for the last laps that he can make, which is probably 1, if I'm honest. So as they hit the toe of the boot, at this point, I'm going to pull a Bill Zahn and say that this is the lap. I am certain Whalen has to come in. He's been leading this whole race.
And here we go.
I was going to say, there's no way he could have been saving fuel up there. Ben Perez, though, we're pretty sure has been. I have an inkling that we're going to see Perez out of these pits first. Remember, he was able to lift so much earlier on the straight. He had to have saved at least a few tenths in his fuel tank out of that.
He's got to. Let's see who's the fastest off pit road. Both of them hit their box. Nice, clean stops.
Followed in by Modoff. That's the green car you see behind them. Waiting for the fuel to go in. It's usually about 14 seconds. Look at that. Perez out much earlier. He jumps him clear. And William Whalen now has some work to do as he is behind our front row sitter of Ben Perez.
Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta say, I know those first few laps the leaders weren't really looking to make passes, but I think now is the time we're actually gonna see a race. Whalen's got a lot of work to do, though. He's a couple of car lengths back, but I think give it time with his speed, we'll have a show.
We missed something, though. Derlicka is jumped them both.
That's
and by
utilized.
a good margin, 1.5 seconds.
That's utilizing pitting that first time around, getting that one extra lap ahead of them. So we got a new cast of characters switched around pretty much right now.
All right. Put your tinfoil hat on, Taylor.
I have it on.
Time in the stall, 8.7 seconds. Perez and Whalen, 10 and 11 seconds. Think about this for a second. And they are catching Durlicka at a rate of knots. I think Durlicka short-fueled. I think he just tried to get track position here.
Let's see what happens. That's all I can say. I'm not going to say anything other than let's see what happens with Durlicka.
I'm pretty sure that car is going to coast the line. That's a significant difference in the pit stall. So, Durlicka leads now after the pit stops. As we run down our top 10, he's been third most of the race. But we think he might not be able to make it to the end unless he does some serious fuel saving. We'll have to wait and see. He's being closely followed by Ben Perez. He's already cut it down by 0.2 of a second that lap. The number 1 car jumped the car who is in third, who has led the vast majority of this race. William Whalen is now 1.2 seconds behind Perez. That was about 0.9, a little bit earlier. So Perez actually pulling away from Billy there. Karl Modoff is sitting in 4th position, 2 seconds back. Probably not in this fight for the win at this point, but he did jump Christian Eisler, who is a 1.5 seconds back from Modoff, sitting in the 5th position. What's the next 5 look like, Taylor?
In 6th position, was able to jump Gamma Francisco Montini in that number 06 Porsche. So utilizing some pit strategy, he was able to get ahead, but still been running inside the top 10 for the duration of the race. Next up is that Sailors number 81 of Ricardo Gamma. He's closing in though on Montini, so we will soon have a battle for 6th position. In 8th position, Mark McDonald's been quiet all night, running pretty much 8th, 9th place all night. Really nice run for the rookie. And then also in 9th position, the highest running the second highest running Ford and the highest running HJ Motorsports driver, Alex Albert. Nice debut with the team here, running in 9th. And rounding out our top 10 is Nick Harwood. Yeah, he had that incident coming into turn 11 with Joseph Janowski, but still is able to motor on through. So that is your top 10 here at Watkins Glen.
Don't need to go to the replay, but poor Broaden had a spin out of the final corner. Just a little bit of contact with the Armco. Is able to keep going after losing some positions. Looking through to see who our hard chargers are. A driver who did not qualify, and I know in Bill Zahn's mind that disqualifies him from this award, but going from 29th on the grid to 13th, number 5 of Federico Montini, who's actually not too far behind, a few more spots. That's Aaron Thacker, who himself is actually not climbed many, but the car ahead of him, Jean Carini, has going from 18th to 11th at number 13. Watch these cars battle down the front stretch. Thacker just stalking him for now.
Watching the battle right now for P20, actually P19 soon to be, as Takeshi Kita and Rob Crouch and Maxi Corellia are now battling it out as they head down towards the 90. Kita just almost 1 spot away to getting inside the top 20 for a good run here tonight. Just waiting for a small mistake by Crouch if they go up through the S's, but Kita's just all over trying to make the move, but it looks like Crouch though has his eyes set on Maxi.
Yep, Maxi watching his mirrors, covering him off to the inside down the back stretch. Rob Crouch goes to the racing line. Could get him off the corner potentially, but looks like a nice smooth run through the inner loop for Sorella anyways. Ooh, wow, Rob Crouch tried it anyways. He was late there into the outer loop.
Oh, Kita looks to the inside going into the boot. Not close enough, but just swerved a little bit, almost hit the Armco almost, if it was a little bit too much more loose. Up through the boot.
They stay in order. 14th is Maxi's, or 19th is Maxi Sorelli. 20th Rob Crouch. 21st Takeshi Kita. This is one of the closest battles on track that we're watching at the moment. Really nothing happening at the lead pack. We will go to them in the final laps though.
Sorelli hits the curb a little bit, gets him a little bit loose. This brings Crouch in closer up through turn 9. Nice run for Crouch getting through 9 nice and smooth, hugging that curbing.
Now through the penultimate corner. Crouch is looking very smooth at the moment. Off the final turn, but just not a good enough launch. Watch from the back of Sorella. Oh, we have a car in the pits. That's
Michael Derby.
Michael Derby. Yeah, not sure what happened to him, but that looks to be an unscheduled second stop. We'll get information on that later. But Kita seems to have lost ground on Crouch, who is now right under the rear spoiler of Maxi Sorella as they hit the backstretch once again.
Sorelli hugs the inside line in a defensive move, but it looks like Crouch is going to go even lower. Nope, gets back into the racing line. Through the inner loop, hitting the curbs to help turn the car a little bit more to the outer loop now. Got to be careful for the car not to wash up too much. Otherwise, that'll leave the opening for the car behind. Oh, as Sorelli gets into the grass, got to be careful with that. And into the boot they go.
Bob is very, very close behind him down the backstretch, and yet he's not closing in. This makes me wonder if he's got just a little bit more wing than Sorella does.
He possibly could, or just could be biding his time and just not wanting to push it to where it causes a severe incident to where there's contact involved. So he's just probably waiting for that right time to where there is an opening for him to make that pass on Maxi.
Right on board with Kita, watching the two of these battle. Maxi gets himself a little bit of breathing space. Clock now under 6 minutes left to go. If drivers want to make moves, they're going to have to start doing them soon. Speaking of moves, Modov, since he had gotten past Eisler, that gap has been closed down. Christian has got it to within a second on Carl. The 48, unless he makes an error, is looking relatively safe. It's gonna have to take a big push, I think, for Christian to run him down.
That or a major mistake by Modov. Modov's just been really smooth all race long, not really pushing the car, just placing his car, hitting his marks, and just racing the track, which is what a lot of our front runners are just been doing all night. Not worried about the competition, but just focused on getting to the end and then going at it. So
we go down to 19th. Still very close together, and I think they've got a friend. Oh, that's Derby. He's a lap down, so he's not in this fight technically. At least he shouldn't get involved in it. He's really got no reason to be. A little bit of a look from Kita. Guess you can't do anything with it. Down now into the toe of the boot, and yet again, we're starting to see a little bit of desperation from Takeshi. He's poking his nose in at a lot of different corners. And as we say that, oh no, Michael, no.
What is he doing? Almost contact between him and Derby. Derby needs to realize he needs to back off. He's outside the top 25 in 30th. Not really racing for anything, just needs to back up, let these guys race.
Yeah, he's a whole lap down from the next car up. He has no reason to try and push these guys. He gains nothing by putting himself ahead of them. No. He really ought to stay out of this.
He's just got to be careful. Let these guys race amongst themselves. It's not a good idea, especially if you want to build respect and trust amongst these other drivers. If you're a lap down, let the guys who are on the lead lap racing for a position, let them race. Don't push the issue with it.
Yeah, for those that don't think sim racing is like real racing, as far as relationships go, very much like real racing. You know who you can do what with on track, and drivers, just like real life, well, they remember very well. Speaking of remembering, Crouch trying to remember how to use the slipstream on Maxi. Look at him bob and weave, try to find a way past, figuring out which way he's going to go. Forces the issue, maybe. No, backs out of it by the time they hit the inner loop. It's getting a little more tense in this group. Ooh, Takita got a good run there on Crouch, I think. Oh, just too short of a straightaway.
Yeah, it was just too short. Kita, though, looks to the inside. Not close enough. Maybe tries to go undercut him as they go into the boot. Goes to the outside. Here we go.
Wow, Takeshi brave on the brakes. He's trying to find the grip, but he runs out of track. Could be going for an over-under, though. Look at him carry the momentum up the hill. Defensive move from Rob Crouch down to the inside into the heel of the boot. This is going to be a tall ask for Takeshi to do it the long way around of that corner, and he knows it. He ducks back into line.
Up towards turn 9. Still not close enough, but just waiting for Rob to make a small mistake, and Tito will be right there on top of him just to get to the next position and break inside the top 20.
And Maxi is loving this. He is watching those two fight and saying, go on, just duke it out for that position. I can cruise away to take this 19th spot from you two.
Ooh, Kita blocks a move on Derby, saying, no, you are not going to get by me.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
I don't either.
Yeah, at that point you got to get aggressive. You got to send a real message to that lapped car that you do not belong in this fight. This is ours to duke out. You got nothing to gain. Just sit back there and finish the race.
Just have a bag of popcorn ready and watch the show.
Exactly. There you go. There you go. The popcorn position. So as they come to the backstretch once again, they have unfortunately spread out a little bit because of that defensive maneuver. We're going to get the white flag next time by. Actually, just now. Durlicka coming through. And I thought he was going to lose out. He must have saved some crazy amounts of fuel.
We still got one more lap. Anything can happen, Joe. So let's wait and see.
He's stretching the lead. It's now 1.7. Remember, it was 1.5 and it went down to 1.3. If he had to save fuel, he's not doing it. He's pushing. And he has to think he can make it, because once you hit that white flag, Taylor, there's no turning back.
No, there isn't. So as they go down the back straightaway for the final time, Jesper Durlicka, wow, I'm impressed.
I am too.
I'm really happy too, because don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Porsche, but it's something else leading and going to possibly win the race besides a Porsche.
Yeah, that 4GT. This might be the first 4GT we've seen win a race here in the American iRacing Tuesday Series. I'll have to check our stats on that. Perez now down to 1.8 seconds behind him, falling away, possibly into the clutches of Whalen, but that is going to be a little too late, as 1 second between those two. It's getting a little bit hot under the covers here because the wool has been pulled over our eyes, Taylor. Jesper Durlicka, who we really didn't pay that close attention to, has jumped both of our leaders that we thought were shoo-ins to take the win. And Jesper in that number 97 Ford comes around turn 9 onto the main course, still at 1.7 seconds, not looking like he is going to lose this in any form or fashion. He could practically cruise the line if his car sputters from here. Out of the final corner, the Grip TV driver of Jesper Durlicka is going to take the win here in the first round of the American iRacing Tuesday Series.
Eisler,
yeah. Go ahead.
Eisler was so close on that, but it looks like, though, that rookie Carl Modoff has come in to take home the 4th place.
I think John Guillory back in 19th had an issue because I saw him stopped on the track, but not able to go back and check right now. He was going to try and fight Michael, well, not Michael Derby, but I guess Maxi Sorella. And Michael Derby did get by Kita. But where is... Who was that? Who else was he fighting with there? My mind is blanking now.
He was fighting.
It was Crouch. It was Crouch. Crouch is back. Something must have happened to Crouch. Oh, no. I'm going to go back and check. See if I can...
Oh. It looked like going into the boot, coming out of the outer loop as they head in, made this into the...
No. This was in the first corner. In the first corner. Oh, no. His teammate absolutely decimated him in the first corner. Kita tried to make a pass, outbraked himself, shoved him off, and that's why you have Michael Derby in front as well. He slipped through easily. He got what he wanted in the end.
Yeah, he did.
All right, well, that is the last of our drivers coming across the line. Now we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. And if you watch on screen, you're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Watkins Glen International, where we just watched round one here of season 4 in 2018 for the PRL American iRacing Tuesday series. And how about this? A new winner in this series in Jesper Derlicka, who started this race, by the way, in 5th place. We didn't mention that before. He may have sat in 3rd for the vast majority of it, but he didn't even start in 3rd. Man, you talk about sneaking through for a win. Ben Perez didn't see it coming. He finished in 2nd. William Whalen didn't see it coming. He finished in 3rd. Then it's a little ways back to get to 4th place. That was Carl Modoff, who snuck past Christian Eisler in the pit stops. Eisler goes from 3rd to 5th, not the start to the season that he's going to want. Francisco Montini takes the 6th position with Mark McDonald in 7th, Ricardo Gama in 8th, and Alex Albert in 9th. Your top 10 is rounded out by Nick Harwood.
Finishing in 11th position in the 816 Ford, Mr. Consistency, Aaron Thacker. Followed in 12th position, Federico Montini, followed by in 13th, John Carney. And then in 14th is going to be Alexander Cofford, followed by Justin Hall in 15th, Joseph Janowski in 16th, Pete Mabrone in the Fluffy Kitty Ninja in the 15th Porsche, followed by Maxi Sorelia in 18th. 19th is Takeshi Kita, finally getting inside the top 20. And rounding out your top 20 is Cristobal Valenzuela.
Danny Duchesne took his brand new Porsche to 21st, with John Guillory finishing in 22nd. He started in the top 10, so that's a disappointing day for John. Sean Kenning was 23rd, with Lucio Vargas finishing in 24th. Rob Crouch, that last lap incident with Kita, probably going to be a little bit discussed after the race. He finishes 25th. Karsten Quint was 26th. That's a little bit farther down than we're used to seeing with Quint. Gary Schilling takes 27th, with Hugo Galaz in 28th. Remy Provencher takes 29th, with Michael Derby 30th. James LeBlond 31st. And Daniel Pinto, our first retirement. Man, he finishes in 32nd today. Disappointment there. All right, let's go to our interview, starting with our winner. Let's bring Jesper Derlicka into the booth and see if he knew that he was going to win this thing. Jesper, we were completely caught off guard by the fuel saving that you had done and managed to jump the leaders. We were saying that you were going to run out of fuel at the end, and lo and behold, you did not.
No, I didn't. Well, it's thanks for having me on. Yeah, I did all the fuel saving I possibly could in that first initial stint. All I wanted to do there was get to the back of Ben and just lift and coast every single corner, and that worked out for me.
So knowing that you qualified 5th, did you think that you could hold them off, which you did handily with a 1.5 second lead at the line, which is exactly what you had when the pit stops completed?
Yeah, I was, in my experience, the Ford's a bit better on the tires, especially compared to the Porsche. I'd say the Ferrari's even better on the tires. So I did a 2-hour race at Road America during week 13, and that kind of gave me the intel in terms of how the tire performance would be between the two cars. And so I was pretty confident that I could hold that gap.
So I don't know how much you've been watching this series in the past couple seasons. Ben Perez is on a hat trick of championships. You just beat him in the very first race. Is this a gauntlet on the floor we're seeing?
It certainly is now, especially after Ben said he'd drive the Ford and then he backed out the last second. He needs to be punished for that.
Oh, I like that talk. All right, that's Jesper Derlicka, our winner here today. Congratulations.
Thank you. And thanks to Kutu Epps for that great fuel calculating, too. And Thrustmaster as well for the wheel.
Awesome stuff. That was our winner today. Our second place driver, Ben Perez, and 3-time championship winner, is talking to Taylor.
Here with Ben Perez finishing P2 today. Ben, what happened? I mean, you had a stellar run pretty much all race with Whalen, and then all of a sudden, here comes Derlicka just passing you both after the pit stops.
Yeah, that really, really caught me off guard. I think what happened, I don't know if it happened also with Whalen. It seems like it might have. But I was planning on 27 laps as opposed to 26. So I think that was that advantage. I ended up with like an extra liter at the end of the race. So I think that was the 2.5 seconds that Jesper ended up getting on me, which is very unfortunate. But It is what it is.
It is, but still a good points-paying race to kick off the season. P2, we're looking forward to seeing how well you do. Any thoughts of how you defend your championship? It seems like the competition is going to be a little more tougher.
Well, to be honest, I'm not really pushing too hard for a 4th championship. I kind of feel like 3 in a row is pretty good. I mean, if I can, I'll get 4, but it's not something that I'm like striving for hardcore now. And now it's just all about having fun. And that was a fantastic race. My heart was racing pretty much the entire 45 minutes. So more of that, and I'll take it.
All right. Well, looking forward to watching you this season, Ben, and congratulations on finishing P2.
Thanks.
And I believe Joe has caught up with our 3rd place driver, William Whalen.
Yes, he finished on the podium, even though he started on the pole. Will, I have to imagine you probably suspected that Ben was saving fuel behind you, but were you as caught off guard as Ben was about Jesper suddenly showing up in front of you?
Oh, yeah, I was totally caught off guard there. I thought for sure Ben was going to get by me on the pit stop. I had no idea that Jesper would end up in front. So, yeah, that burnt.
So you've now got 2 podiums. You had 1 last season, and you've got 1 here. This is a good start compared to your experience last season, at least. Do you think you can carry this form? Do you think you can keep rifling off good results?
Yeah, I'm going to try to, of course. Last season, I got in with only, I think, 3 races left. So I wasn't really too worried about finishing good. I was just more so trying to see how everybody else was driving.
All right. So, well, we heard Jesper throw down a challenge to Ben Perez, and Ben said that he's not as worried about taking a championship. What about you? What's your goals this season? Now that you're doing a full season, is this let's take it to the crown?
Yeah, of course. That's always the plan. I know Ben and Jesper, they're going to be really tough. So maybe top 3, but top 5 definitely.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you 3 give it to each other all season long. Congratulations on a podium finish.
Thank you so much.
That was Will Whalen. And we are going to close up today, of course, having finished up our interviews. But before we close, we want to give some big thank yous. A huge one to SIMMSA. Again, you can check them out at SIMMSA.net if you're interested in checking them out and their services, if you want to see what they have to offer for you. Also, a big thank you to the Precision Racing League for bringing us back, for covering the American iRacing Tuesday series. All of their staff does a lot of hard work behind the scenes to organize these events. They do a great job, I have to say. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Taylor, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. The next race is going to be a very different track to this one, going to Imola, over to Italy. That'll be Tuesday, September 25th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.